202.
202, all right. The first, I always like to start off a little, humor. The first bottles of Coca-Cola contain 3.5 grams of cocaine. Explains how your grandparents were able to walk to school uphill both ways. And how many times have I heard that? I have never tried to outrun, these are all submitted by residents, by the way. I've never tried to outrun a police car, but if this shows up behind me, yeah, I'm gonna take my chances. I agree with you. Alexa, play a little Mozart. Alexa. Alexa's in the living room, you're talking to the tuna fish can. My therapist set half a glass of water in front of me. He asked if I was an optimist or a pessimist. So I drank the water and told him I was a problem solver. That is absolutely what I would do. John is having a bad day. He tried to button his shirt and the button fell off. He picked up his briefcase and the handle fell off. He went out to open the door and the doorknob fell off. Now he's afraid to pee. I've been there. I've had those kinds of days. All right. We'll get started. This is a little video we put together of last month's festivities. the numbers are spiking in Travis County. It's around 17%. We've had several cases in independent living residents. We have multiple active cases at this time. There's light symptoms, no hospitalizations, but we do need to take precautions, I think. Definitely when you're outside of Westminster and you're in groups, recommend wearing masks still. And I'm really gonna start suggesting that we wear masks in group settings too, and when on transportation over the next several weeks for sure, because we are seeing a spike in the numbers. So far, you know, we have one associate with an active case, that just ended, had no symptoms, so we're doing pretty well overall. We're still high vaccination rates and everything. Still, all visitors must screen in. Associates and visitors must wear a mask in assisted living and healthcare at all times, right? It needs to be at least a surgical mask, and that includes you independent living residents, right? I had a report that somebody said you didn't have to wear a mask in healthcare, and you really do, even if you're an independent living resident. We love you, but it's a different level of care, and so we do have to wear masks. Up to 3 guests are allowed in the dining rooms at breakfast and lunch. We can, if you're interested in having a larger party in the private dining room or something like that, then reach out to Sarah Faust and we'll get you special permission to do that. Transportation services are at full capacity, and I just want you to be aware again that numbers are trending up in the county. Travis County especially, Williamson County is right behind it, so we recommend wear masks when outside of Westminster, especially in any large groups, okay? Guests are allowed in audience for activity programs at this point. Quarantine only for those who are symptomatic. Continue to practice good hygiene, meaning washing your hands often, sanitizing your hands. If you touch a doorknob or an elevator button, sanitize your hands. Continue to practice social distancing whenever possible. Stay home if you're ill, even if you think it's bad allergies. Just stay home or wear a mask to be safe. If you're not feeling well and or in doubt, just wear a mask. And if you need a mask, just ask any receptionist and we'll get you a mask, okay? Healthcare center is still visited or limited to 2 visitors at a time, right? Only in healthcare for and assisted living. Unless you're outside, and then you can have as many as you want. Everyone, including residents, again, must wear a mask at all times while visiting the assisted living and healthcare center. And the residents must screen in through those kiosks, those AccuShield kiosks that takes your temperature. We ask you to do that because we have to maintain a log of every visitor that comes into healthcare and assisted living for the state. And what happens, we just had our survey, and they actually pull those logs and make sure that everybody's had their temperature checked before they're allowed in. So when we don't have those, we get an automatic deficiency for not having them. I'm happy to report, this has been a really good week. It's been a crazy week. That's been one long Monday, but it's been a really good week. They left Wednesday and we were deficiency free. So that's really incredible. So that's great. Questions and answers. Question, how do we arrange and or sign up to use the grill and or pizza oven? Anybody interested in doing that? Somebody is, okay, good. That's just Kelly. Contact Brian Grossman and he'll show you how to use it and they'll set up the date. And they're gonna prepare a video that you'll be able to watch and see how to use that. It's really pretty easy. We do ask that you clean up after yourself. Are you shutting down the Preston gym before the new gym is up and running? Rumors. No, absolutely not. I would not do that. We will ensure that the new gym is completely operational and functioning well before we make any changes to the current gym. There will be a fitness annex created for the Preston when the new gym comes online and it's been operating for a while. We'll make a smaller gym, a little bit smaller, not much, in the Preston. And I'll work with Ev to create that space. And we'll take your favorite pieces of equipment, the equipment that's used most often, and make sure that they're in that space. Are you moving the little store? Rumors. No, the little store will remain in its current location. are the solar panels going to be installed? I have this in my slide deck as an update. We believe it will be in June. A lot depends on the city permitting process. But I just received word the other day that, that one of the permits has been approved and we're waiting for the two others. But sounds like they should be able to start in June. Question, can you remind residents to keep pets on a leash? I've done this repeatedly. All pets should be on a short leash in all common areas, including courtyards, and a short leash is meant no more than 6 feet from the pet owner. Like, if your pet is around the corner, down the hall, and it's a leash that's 25 feet long, that's not a short leash. That's not control in my mind. And you could trip somebody, right? I mean, let's be good neighbors. Question, are we getting Spectrum Wi-Fi? If so, when will the change be occurring? Yes, we are getting Spectrum Wi-Fi. The systems are being installed at this time. Anybody have the new Wi-Fi installed in their apartment yet? We started on the ground floor last week. Nope, nobody, okay. So what's happening is we have Inspire Wi-Fi, right? That's been our Westminster Wi-Fi. And it is installed in the corridors, and it's meant to kind of cover your apartment, right? And it does for the most part. And I warned them when we started this that you all were gonna be super users, that you were gonna use a lot of smart devices, and that it needed to be treated like a college dormitory, because I knew once it started, you were gonna be having so much fun with streaming and all the things. And I think, you know, it's served well for a while, but it's starting to struggle. And so we've recognized that we need more power. You know, we need more upload speed. So we're installing Spectrum Wi-Fi as well to have double coverage. So we will have Wi-Fi from Spectrum brought into your units. So it'll be brought into your units, and they'll have an Ethernet connection and full coverage of your unit, and then it will also cover the corridor, and it'll be seamless across the campus. So you'll be able to use your smartphones and your iPads and iPods and whatever, wherever you want on the campus, and it will fly. So yes, we are doing that. Question, can you clarify what happens when we press our pendant? Yes. The pendant notifies the emergency call system and identifies your location on the campus, both your apartment and by triangulating your location on the campus. Then notifies security and concierge. And then I have another slide that I'm going to show you what these look like and what happens. Question, can you please remind everyone on the fire procedure? Yes, on the next slide. When the fire alarm sounds, residents should shelter in place in their apartment home, but be alert and prepared for the potential of an evacuation. Very unlikely that you would be evacuated. You will be notified by our staff if you need to evacuate. Residents should refrain from calling the reception desk during the fire alarm. There is no need to press your pendant during the fire alarm, or pull a fire pull station when the alarm is already sounding. And the reason we don't want you to do that is because when the alarm is sounding, it's sounding for a reason. And if you pull a fire pull station, that detracts us and the fire department from the real location of the fire, right? So please don't pull these stations. If you're on fire, your apartment or your couch or whatever, and the alarm doesn't sound, that's a good time to pull the fire alarm pull station. Or if you notice a fire in the hallway and the alarm hasn't sounded, that's a good time to pull the fire alarm pull station. But if the alarm is already sounding, we're gonna find the source of the fire because the fire panel is telling us where it is, and the staff are making announcements for it. The beauty of all of the buildings on Westminster's campus are that they're concrete construction, and they're very secure, especially when it comes to fire. There is 2-hour firewalls built in several zones in each building. The doors and the apartments themselves are a fire zone in itself. It's a 20-minute fire zone. So if a fire occurs, and a good example in apartment 5, I believe it's 5, right? The kitchen that burned, it didn't get outside of the apartment. The smoke did, but the fire was contained in that area. And that was a pretty good fire. But it's a blessing of the building. If, you know those fire doors that close automatically when the alarm system goes off, that's a fire zone. So even if you were told to evacuate, we would evacuate you to the outside of that fire zone. And we have 2 hours for the fire to be put out at that point, right? So the chances of it consuming the building like you've seen on TV is very unlikely. And I know that one building, I can't remember where it was, but there was a story on the news about a facade burning. Do you remember that in the news? It's been several years ago. Our facade is fire retardant, so it won't burn. It'll smoke and cinder, but it won't catch on fire and catch all the floors on fire. So just wanted you to be aware of that. Let's talk about pendants for a minute. Can you clarify what happens when you press our pendant? When you press your pendant for an emergency, not to get water or to change the TV channel, which does happen, believe it or not. Only for emergencies, like if you've fallen and can't get up, right? Or if you're not feeling well and you just don't feel like you can, call anybody. It identifies the location on the campus. It identifies 2 things on this pager. It'll tell your apartment room number, and then it triangulates your location if you're not in your apartment. Security won't stop looking for you until you're found, and the emergency is resolved. Most of the time it's a false alarm, but occasionally we respond and there's a real emergency. The pendant looks like this, right? Everybody knows. A lot of people wear them out around the campus. The pendants have full coverage all over the campus, even if you're in the parking garages. You could be in the furthest, darkest corner of the parking garage, or hiding under a bush in the Windsor courtyard, or the north parking lot, if we had a north parking lot, or the Carlisle building, and the dog park. And if you press your pendant, we can find you, based on that signal. It is not, however, covered throughout Austin. It's only the Westminster campus. There are some people that think that it covers you at Target or Randall's and places like that, and it does not. It only covers you on the Westminster campus, okay? Yes, ma'am?
Is it waterproof?
It's water resistant. So you can wear it in the shower. And it should resist the water. There are occasions that it does get damaged, and if it does, we'll replace it.
Can't wear it swimming.
No, it's not meant to be submerged in water. It doesn't hurt if it gets rained on or showered on, but it's not meant to be submerged.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good question. Again, the pendant range is just the campus. All around the campus though. Even if you're on our sidewalk, it's good there too. Even on the green space on the other side of the sidewalk. Now if you get in the street, probably has about half the street's coverage. So if you get run over, try to do it on our side of the street. I'm just kidding. What question? What is going on with the Preston downstairs when the new clinic, the salon, and the gym are opened? it's not gonna become a barren wasteland, I can tell you that. There's always stuff to do around here. And one of the things that I've always tried to do is create destination spaces within the campus that adds to your residency and your experience here. So the plan is, coming soon, the Preston ground floor, the garden floor as we like to call it, not the basement. Nobody wants to live in the basement. It's a garden floor. There will be a new woodworking shop, a new theater, a pottery studio, and a hidden treasure shop, and an office for the Residents Association. A fitness annex and the little store will remain on the garden floor. The previous clinic space, so the nurse practitioner clinic, the wellness clinic as we called it, will be converted into a theater room with a stage where you can do live performances. You can create, Mrs. Cook, do you hear me? Yeah. You can create content for Channel 1890. You could do poetry readings. You could do live production. You could read Shakespeare. You can screen a movie. All those things will be possible in this theater room with a stage. It'll also have a small office for the Westminster Residents Association in this space. The current theater that we have will be converted into a shop for hidden treasures, which will have outside access and a ramp to the exterior, which will allow for products and small pieces of furniture to be brought into the space, and you can use the space when you wish. I'm gonna leave that up to you all. A new woodworking shop will be located near the ground floor service elevator in the current gym space, and will serve both Westminster's woodworking needs as well as provide residents a supervised space for woodworking. Many years ago, I think it was 2015, 2016, I started a master planning session with the board of directors, and when we asked Life Care Services Development to come in and assess our campus and compare it to the new up and coming products, right? The new senior living communities around the country and around Austin, to determine how our amenities stacked up to them, right? And some of these deficits that we are addressing through the Windsor expansion, the Carlisle expansion, and these plans are being addressed in those in these new amenities. There's been a desire for many years for prospects coming into the community to have a woodworking shop. It's been mentioned, we have artists here that have mentioned, man, it'd be really cool if we had a way to do pottery here. And that's been mentioned by prospects. The Hidden Treasure store, I feel like, I hate you all having to work outside in the heat and cold and work out of that storage closet. And I've always tried to look for a more attractive space that was feasibly usable and viable for you to really use to benefit everyone. And I think that this plan will address many of those things. It looks great in my head. And I've worked with my team, and I think it's gonna be great when it comes to fruition. I told you that about the bistro, it turned out okay. I think I told you that about the Windsor, and it turned out pretty good. So, I'm just asking you to give me a little faith, a little time, and we'll convert these spaces. It'll be very nice, and it'll add value and give you even more options than you have today, and that's the goal. Okay? Any questions on that, real quick? Yes, ma'am.
How many seats will the new little theater?
About 25. Question. What is being done? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Kelly.
Where will Ev's office be?
Ev's not going to have an office. Ev will have a computer workstation, and she'll have an office available to her that's being used by rehabilitation as well. And so they'll have a shared office area. in the rehab, it's in the rehab gym right next to the cardio gym. And then Ev will have a computer and a telephone at that cabinet, right inside the new cardio gym, the new fitness gym, right inside there as well. Yes, sir.
Will the chapel remain?
The chapel will remain, yes. I didn't know that was a rumor, I would have addressed it. Hadn't heard that one. All right, question. What is being done about the address confusion? And this has been an ongoing issue, and we really have tried to address it over the years. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of turnover in the EMS department and Austin, police department, and even though we send them maps and show them the entrances and tell them about the addresses, there still seems to be confusion. But we've reached out to them again. We've produced a new map that shows and highlights the entrances. We've also had an exterior signage assessment as well as an interior signage assessment completed, and I just signed off on the new exterior signage package. And improved signage on each entrance. So each of the glass doors will have the name of the building, the address on it very clearly in large white letters so that you can see it easily as you drive up. We're reaching out to the 911 address coordinator and have done that in the past for our area to establish clear addresses for each entrance going forward. And then with the exterior signage package, I think that'll help. We're also training our teams to use the physical address for each building when calling in an emergency. So we will continue to address that. Construction update. I'm not gonna go through all of this, but I just wanted to show you that we are making progress. You'll see that the elevators are being installed this month actually, on the Carlisle building, and hopefully they'll be better than the Windsor building. Yeah. It's not even funny, is it? You didn't laugh, you cry though. They're installing the glazing in the doors. They are installing balcony railings and things like that over the next couple weeks, so you'll see all of that. The exterior work is really wrapping around the building now. They're taking down scaffolding because they've completed a lot of it. They're also put up scaffolding on the bridge, so that stucco work and all of that'll be taking place. Stormwater bypass and backfill's been completed this week and next week. The scaffolding on the air shaft is being erected. Waterproofing's being done on the air shaft. There's just lots and lots of work. Painting doors, cabinetry is being installed. There's just a lot of work being done, and I really think that they're probably gonna beat the schedule, maybe a day or two, but we're supposed to be substantially complete December 29th, and I think they're gonna hit that schedule right on, if not a little bit sooner, so it's coming, folks. It's only about 7 months and we'll be parking on site again. Yay! I know, the associates are really happy about that. The hardest part's the city inspections, right? So one of the things that we've dealt with, and I apologize, on the Windsor building, with the various doors and the way that they've been operating between the healthcare center, the Windsor building and the new infill tower, the expansion of it, the fire marshal hasn't allowed us to activate the egress doors the way they have supposed to have been designed because they didn't tell us that we needed to submit the plans for that separately from the plans that we submitted to the whole city, separately to the fire department so they could be approved. So we had to do that after we received the temporary certificate of occupancy. So once we did that, they just were approved. So Monday, Monday they'll be doing a dry run to test the fire alarm system with the new egress doors to make sure they work properly. And then later on next week, the fire marshal will come back for his final inspection to hopefully approve those doors to operate the way they're supposed to. Once that happens, then we can get rid of those wood partition walls that we have up in the halls. And the doors will not have those, crazy loud alarms on them anymore. And you'll be able to use your key fobs to access and everything should work the way it's supposed to. So, looking forward to that. Lots of progress. We're already putting patio furniture on the new Windsor. And this is what the Carlisle building looks like latest. Is everybody able to see the video on the website? If you've lost your link to that, you can reach out to Mark and they'll help you get it. It's pretty fascinating to watch. Update, sound system in Harrisville Hall and the bistro has been installed. However, we're waiting on control boards. Anybody tired of hearing it, blame it on COVID? I am.
The sound system is much better.
It is much better, but it's gonna be better than this even. Once the new control boards come, it's gonna be like symphony sound in this space, and it's also supposed to be connecting to your hearing aids and all that, so it should be even better. And then we're supposed to get new drop-down screens and a new projector for all 3 screens and all of that, so it'll really be much improved when everything comes in. But there are, and I know you're tired of hearing it, but it's true that much of these things are back ordered because of chips and shipping problems and everything else. But the signage project, the assessment, so you may have seen a lady walking around taking pictures of all the signage. She was creating a plan to move forward with that I was talking about earlier. This project will create consistent signage throughout the campus, including the expansion on both the exterior of the building and the interior of the building. And I've had some resident volunteers that are gonna help me look at the interior signage package before we purchase it to make sure that we've covered all of our bases. We also ordered some, and I know it's kind of confusing, with those W119 signs that are in the hallways going in the Windsor expansion. Those are required by the fire marshal. Once he signs off on the building, we can take those down, and then we have a new signage package with wayfinding signs that we can replace that with. But that's his way of looking at the plans and seeing where everything's supposed to be. So that's why that's there. Spectrum cable boxes installation now in the Windsor on the 2nd floor. How many are satisfied with the new Spectrum cable box that's been installed? Anybody? Couple people? Should be better than what it was previously, if it's not.
We don't have the boxes, we just have the pigtails to connect to the box.
Okay, okay, they should be installing those pretty shortly then. I hadn't heard that. I had heard that they were pretty much, they were done with the Preston building, and then the Windsor building was left to go. No? They lied to me. This is the cable TV, right? All right, Ruth, did you record that they lied to me? Okay, somebody's gonna pay for that one. Keyless entry system has begun and then stopped. While I was on vacation last week, they said that the doors aren't square. So we're having to make some adjustments to the doors to continue on with that project. That should take place over the next couple weeks. And I guess, you know, a 55-year-old building is liable to sag a little bit, but that's what the deal is. And actually, they tell me that the Windsor's a little bit worse than the Preston, so I don't know why that is, but they're gonna work on all those doors, and they'll probably do some shimming and straightening of hinges and things like that to make sure that the doors align correctly so the latching mechanism works smoothly. We don't want anybody to get trapped in their apartment, right? Right. There is some concern and rumor about once these keyless entry systems are put in place that you may be trapped in your apartment. That is not true. If there was an emergency, even if you locked the door, if there's an emergency, security has a key and they can unlock the door. okay? So they'll have a key fob that has an override and its emergency key fob. I'll have one as well. So if security's not available and you press your pin and I'm the only one in the building, I can respond to your emergency, okay? So that's just a rumor, not true. Solar roof project, I mentioned already. Remodel the ground floor amenities has begun. We started with demolition of the nurse practitioner clinic. And every piece of equipment and all the chairs and things that we will be removing from these spaces, including the old salon furniture, is gonna be donated and repurposed at the state school. So I think that's really good. Dining services, just to provide a little bit of an update, please make reservations for tables of 5 or more, no reservations required for 4 or less. For parties of 8 or more, please contact Sarah Faust for a reservation of the private dining room, and if it's a larger party, she may reach out to me and ask for permission, and I usually grant it. I do grant it every time, but the bistro is open for breakfast and lunch only. Dine-in will close at 2 p.m., open till 4 p.m. for to-go orders. And primarily that's due to staffing, right? Everyone in the industry, everyone outside of the industry, every business that I know of is suffering with staffing right now. We're making some headway, we're starting to hire some new people, and I know you will be kind to them. But the fact that we're getting any new people in here at all is amazing nowadays. Make sure you treat them kindly. But as soon as we get fully staffed, we will open the bistro for dinner. As soon as we get fully staffed, and we have a goal to do that. For right now, no guests at dinner, and that's primarily due to having one dining room and the compression dining that's occurring already. If I add a guest to the mix in the dinner hour, oh wow, that wouldn't be good. So that's why the no guest at dinner, and then the maximum of 3 guests per resident. Hopefully you're filling out the cards that we talked about. I talked about this in a previous chat. We started, and this is one of the things that I think will help us recruit. We started a Westminster Extraordinary Service Incentive Program. So basically, this is a way to tip people without you actually tipping them. And by filling out these little cards and rating your service, if they achieve 5-star rating for their service, then they're able to achieve a bonus every pay period. And if they miss it one pay period and they don't get it because maybe, they didn't do a great job, maybe they had a bad day or something, they can achieve it the next pay period. So we're now calling our servers hospitality ambassadors because nobody wants to be a server anymore. So we're calling them hospitality ambassadors. That's what we're recruiting for. We have a hospitality ambassador training program that we just christened and started that. The associates are eligible each pay period. The incentives are achievable. Service ratings are achieved partially through the cards that you fill out. Also some of the things like showing up for work on time, in your uniform, with your name badge on, doing your side work like you're supposed to, being kind to one another, extraordinary impressions, great service, all of those things help them achieve those bonuses. And it's a couple $100 a pay period, so it's pretty cool. Westminster does not allow tipping, right? We can't do that. We believe this new program is a great way to reward our dining staff for great performance. And be more competitive in the marketplace, right? Because if you can go down the street and work at Chili's and get a couple $100 on a Friday night, that's attractive and that's cash in your hand right away. But here we're offering great hours, really competitive pay, and on top of that, this bonus program and fantastic benefits. In fact, the benefits are better here than they are anywhere else, honestly. So this will make us more attractive, and the more cards that you fill out, the better it is for the associates, okay? Yes, sir.
So what happens to our door keys after we get the fob? Do we turn
The
them in?
mechanical door key, you won't need it anymore. Yeah, you'll just turn it in to the reception desk. They won't be good anymore either. Yes, sir?
Where are the cards?
The cards are right when you walk in the dining room, and you can ask for one, and they're supposed to be putting them on the table soon. So, all right. I think I went through this slide last time, but we've had some new awards recently, which I thought was pretty cool, and I just heard about them this week. I mentioned the Deficiency-Free Healthcare Center survey. We also received a deficiency-free financial audit. That means that our financials from last year were perfect. There was no issues with them. And then this is a survey that you completed, those stupid little computer surveys that you completed, that you hated me for. I heard about it. Those of you that completed the surveys ranked us high enough to be a U.S. News and World Report Best Senior Living Community, both for independent living and assisted living, and we're top 50 in the country. So thank you for that. Maybe more important than that, your financial security. I just received an email and a call from Fitch Rating Services this week, reaffirming our BBB investment grade rating as stable, which is incredible because about 80% of the companies in the country are getting downgraded at this time. But we've been reaffirmed, and we have a construction project that's not finished yet, so that's really good also. So, speaking of being really good, did you know every couple of years Westminster does a resident satisfaction survey? We call it a resident experience survey. Over the last few years, we've done quite well. 2019, we received 95%, but 95% satisfaction only got us ranked as the 8th among all the LCS communities. Somebody asked me at the ambassador breakfast how many communities that is. That's 150. So 8th is pretty good, but I'm very competitive, and I want to be number 1. So, the senior living industry average is 85%. The LCS average is around 88%. So 95 is awesome. The most important questions on the survey are these questions. And I'm just going to ask just a straw poll here. How many of you are very satisfied, or you strongly agree that you're very satisfied with Westminster as a place to live by show of hands? Very satisfied. There's a few of you that didn't raise your hand. I would recommend Westminster to my friends and family members. I strongly agree with that statement. Yeah, we should do pretty well. I feel at home at Westminster. Yeah. Okay. Well, the reason that there's a scale of 1 to 5, right? What do I want you to think? What do I want you to put? Yes, that's right. That's right, because 5 is the top score. I know lots of things. So think of it as stars, right? You're given a 1 to 5 stars. We don't want 1 star, we want 5 stars. Why do we do resident experience surveys? We do them because we want to determine your satisfaction with our services and departments. We also want to determine your expectations are being met. Evaluate the importance of the services and departments that that we have, and how they contribute to the resident experience. Gain valuable opinions and suggestions for improvement. Identify areas where improvements will have the most impact on the resident experience. And then to continue to adjust our programming and plans. I'll give you, for instance, over the last several years, I've asked the question, how important is Wi-Fi to you? And initially, when I asked the question, it wasn't very important. And it kept getting more and more important. And then when we hit the low 80s, I'm like, it's time. We're gonna put in Wi-Fi, right? We were one of the first communities in Austin to put it in. But it does drive our programming. Why does it matter? Extraordinary service and hospitality improves the resident experience. Happy residents make referrals to Westminster. High occupancy is good for both the residents and employees. Occupancy drives stronger staffing and stronger operations. So the better you rate us on the survey, the better it is for you. How is that possible? Well, if we have really high resident satisfaction, we're really attractive as a place to live. As a prospect, if you see that we have 95% resident satisfaction and our competitors are in the 80s, where are you gonna wanna live? Here, right? If we keep our occupancy high, that keeps your monthly service bills low, your monthly service fees. So the higher our occupancy is, the stronger operations are. The stronger operations are, the less increase we have to pass on to the residents. Okay? A poor performance and poor resident experience drive our residents to our competitors. We don't wanna do that, right? Great satisfaction experience numbers help us in marketing the community. So one of the reasons Westminster has been able to keep its monthly service fees lower, which we have, right? Of the last 6 years, we passed on a 3% or less monthly service fee increase, while our competitors have passed on 4.5% to 8.5% over the last several years. So just by living here, you're saving 10% over competitors, right? And so these numbers really do matter. It's also community pride for both the residents and the associates. We're really truly resident driven. How many committees are there that we work with on a daily basis and there's staff liaisons to, and we really do listen to you. And we're always striving to be perfect. We maybe never get there, but we're always striving to be. Most organizations, most senior living communities work to satisfy the residents. They work to shut you up. We don't. We honestly work to wow you. And I don't always wow you, right? But I try. We all try. And we really want you to be happy here. Every decision that I make, I try to make, and the department heads as well, we try to make to benefit the residents. When you see the resident experience survey, I want you to think about the last 2 years of the pandemic. You've heard some horror stories out there. People running out of food, people having multiple deaths, getting sick. There's a lot going on, but you've really been insulated from that. We've done a really good job over this pandemic of taking care of our associates and our residents. So just think about that when you're filling out your survey, okay? Thank you. The paper surveys are really easy. It's not like those stupid electronic ones. I know you hated those. They'll be delivered to your apartments, hand delivered by concierge and Maria on June 1st. They only take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete the survey. They're self-addressed, stamped envelopes, postage paid, confidential. You know, I won't know who you are unless you say something bad about me, and I can tell by the tone. No, I'm just kidding. We do want you to score us 5, but we also want you to provide comments, because I really do read through every comment. And I was joking, not really, at the ambassador. I'm asking the ambassadors to help us with participation. The goal is to have at least 90% participation, because usually the higher our participation is, the better our scores are. But also, I really want to hear from everybody. And I do want you to score us high, but I want you to fill out those comments. Even if the comment is so silly as, I'd like to see Chuck in more jackets. I want to see him wear more suits. That's fine. One of the things that I talked about, you know, one of the reasons this chat exists is because the residents wrote in the comments section a couple times in the last survey, 2017 survey. They said, you know, I'd like to get more updates from the executive director. So that's why I do this chat. I had another comment about, you know, Chuck's doing a great job, but I've never met him. And I said, well, clearly you've never been in trouble, or we would have met before. But more than that, I was like, that's a shame. That's the most favorite part of my job is spending time with you. It really is. I don't get to do it much, but that's the best part of my job. So I decided then, based on those comments, that I was going to sit down and have lunch with every new resident coming in, and I've been doing that for the last couple of years. So your comments really do matter. So does your grade score. All surveys must be postmarked by June the 21st. So if it's not done by June the 21st and doesn't get in the mail and doesn't get stamped by the post office, it doesn't count. It counts against us that you didn't fill it out. That's terrible. Please take time to fill it out. When you get it on June 1st, that'd be the easiest thing to do. Just fill it out right then and go have yourself an ice cream. You could have the ice cream before you fill out the survey. Make sure it's chocolate, so those positive endorphins are working on you, and then fill out the survey. But anyway, I'll do a presentation of the resident experience survey. I do this every time we have one, and I'll share with you all the scores. And I'll tell you one thing that's offended me, and I love you residents, I really do. I really, really do. But I scored a lot better when I was community administrator. I was like at 96%. The last survey I was only 91. And I know that's better than the president, but it's not as good as community administrator. So, if I don't get better scores on this survey, I think I'm gonna change my title back or something else, I don't know what. Every floor that achieves 100% participation, regardless of your scoring, will get a cocktail party. And I'll stop by and we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and we'll have a little celebration, okay? We're gonna be passing out buttons along with the survey that says absolutely 5 stars, I voted on our survey. And again, this is how it's ranked, 1 to 5. 5 is strongly agree, and that's what we want you to score. Don't accidentally put 1 in, and if you're confused about it now, ask your floor ambassador to help you. They'd be happy to help you and point you in the right direction. And I'll help you fill it out myself if you want me to. Come by the house. Again, feedback is encouraged, and it is your voice. The leadership and board will hear the comments. I'm gonna read through it with them. Also, some of you, how many of you received an email or a text asking you to rate us? It's not spam, it's real, it's from us. Life Care Services, the company that I work for that manages Westminster, is running this big contest, and the marketing department's trying to win. The more positive reviews that they get, the more likely they are to win this contest. So if you click on that link, go ahead and you can do that. You can rate us 5 stars, and it appears on Google, and then they can win this contest. Why are we doing it? Because online reviews matter. It's kind of like resident experience survey. The responses matter. We're at a 4.6 now. Life Care Services at 4.4. Our online reviews are really pretty good, but the more positive reviews we have, the better we look. And why does that matter? Believe it or not, 82% of consumers read online reviews, and it influences their buying decisions. 47% of people would not consider a business with less than 4-star rating. And I don't blame them. We've been 5-star rated in healthcare for 14 years, and that's one of the things that drives our high occupancy in healthcare and independent living. 48% of customers only pay attention to reviews written in the past month. So even though you may have reviewed us 5 years ago, people don't care about it. They want to see the newer reviews. And really, people do a lot of shopping online before they even step in Westminster. 5 positive reviews per month is our goal, and emphasis is on Google because we really want to drive that Google rating up. That's what people tend to pay the most attention to. So if you do have a chance, please consider going on there and just reviewing it. Give it a 5-star if you can. And it won't connect to your Facebook account or any of that stuff. So it's just you can write a comment if you want. I love to live there, or it's awesome, or Ev rocks, or Ruth rocks, or Chuck rocks if you wore more suits, whatever you want to write. Right? Rank it a 5-star. Speaking of stars, extraordinary impression cards, fill those out, complete them. The associates get those, and they're pats on the back. You can get them at any reception desk. They're good for anybody. I even got some about me when I was waiting tables when we were shorthanded one day and stuff. So, yeah, it was nice. I have not received many of those over the years, and naturally that's because I run the place. But it was kind of nice to get them. And so I appreciate it. I'm sure the associates do as well. The Westminster Associate Scholarship Fundraising, we raised over $77,000 thanks to you and our strategic partners. Thank you very much for that. And that's going to help a lot of associates. And the goal is to, and I mentioned this I think previously, but the goal goal is to provide full ride scholarships to ACC for our associates, whether they're in district or not, and this will help us do that for an entire year. So that $77,000 is gonna add to the $50,000 that we already had in the account, so it's really put us in a great place, and thank you so much for your support. And that's all I have. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you for making this a great place to live and work.